Hey.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Mark. Hey,
How are you?
Mike. Hey, Catherine, Michael, and Jill. Some of my favorite people here tonight. Very excited. We're going to wait a
Yeah,
few
but who's your
minutes.
most favorite?
I'm not telling.
Oh,
I'm
now
not
that's it.
telling. She's on the floor right here.
Okay.
We're going to wait a few minutes until some more people show up. I have about 30 people registered.
Wow, nice.
So we'll see how it goes. And structure of Coach Conversations is kind of loose. We're going to do 1-minute intros, name of company, what type of coach or consultant you are, and what you're looking to accomplish on LinkedIn. Because tonight we have my friend who I met on LinkedIn, Monty Clark, here to talk about the magic that he does on LinkedIn. He does organic messaging, and the way we connected is I commented on one of his posts and he commented back. We took it to the DMs and then we ended up connecting on Zoom and now have like an actual relationship, a business relationship where I know what he does, he knows what I do. So that's what we're going to dive into tonight. So you all have those resources for each other.
Sounds good.
All right. There's Dan. And where's everybody zooming in from this evening?
I'm here in Manhattan.
Woohoo.
I'm in Columbus, New Jersey.
Columbus.
Nice.
Haven't been there in a while.
Really?
Today I'm in Sacramento, California.
Beautiful day in Sacramento today.
It's hot.
Yeah, it is. Oh my God. I'm over here in Concord, California. It's 94 degrees out. I can just
Really?
imagine what Sacramento's like.
Hot.
Hot. I haven't been outside all day.
Smart.
all
Wow.
day.
Very, very smart. You're not missing anything.
Oh, scratch that. I walked the dog this morning. It was a nice, calm 60 something degrees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's 7:03. Let's hop in and get started with the introductions. I'm going to go first. I'm Suzanne Taylor King. I am a life and business and performance coach for entrepreneurs. One of my passions is having conversations about coaching and consulting, and that's why we're here tonight. I started this group about 8 months ago, and it's kind of grown in momentum since then. I'm on LinkedIn to meet new people, to network and refer business to, and also for prospective clients to find me. Because of my posting on LinkedIn, I've gotten over 400 views last month of my profile and 6 clients and a couple other engagements. So I think I'm doing okay on LinkedIn.
Awesome, man.
Monty can
Good job.
fill us in on that. And I want to bring this conversation once a month open. If you know a coach that you love, a consultant that you love and respect, and they have an awesome personality and they want to have these conversations, I welcome you to invite them. So we're going to go around the circle to my right and we're going to start with Mark, followed by Catherine.
All right. Thanks, Suzanne. Mark Iorio. I started a business with Al Cini about a dozen years ago. And we have a program, process basically that aligns organizations, brands, and cultures. And it starts out with a cognitive tool that we developed, but it progresses from there to get everyone inside the organization to row in the same direction, work together in a more collaborative way and break down silos. And eventually what happens is the increased productivity you see and increased profitability leads to a higher valuation inside the organization. So we typically deal with companies that are in the 5 to about 250 million range. We've done a little over 11,000 of these BCATs, brand and culture alignment toolkit processes over the last 10 years. And I'm happy to be here. Love Suzanne. Thank you.
Well, awesome to have you. And Catherine Chadwick, followed by Dan Hegrich.
Okay. Well, hey, Suzanne, thanks so much again for
You're welcome.
hosting all of this, because this is also fabulous, right? So I know. I am, I'm a nurse by profession, and I'm a practitioner of applied positive psychology, and I am now morphed into a transformational life coach. And what I really love is actually just being the guide, working with professionals and creatives to help them craft the lives that they really want. And one of my main focuses is teaching people mindfulness and the interconnection of the body, mind, spirit. And what comes from that actually is reintroducing them to themselves. So the aha moments are fabulous. So I am the founder of the Art of Self-Craftsmanship, and also the Sunshine Quotient, and also You've Got Nurse. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, Dan, followed by Michael Leibowitz.
Thank you, Suzanne. Great to be here, everybody, and thank you for having me. My name is Dan Hegrich, 6-time cancer survivor. Yes, you heard that right. Super inspired to share my story on podcast. So if you know anybody that has a podcast that would be interested in me spinning a perspective about cancer that is totally different and not talked about, I'd be glad to share my story. Just to tease you a little bit, what if cancer is not a disease at all? What happens if it is actually an expression of the disease? And we all have the same disease. It's just expressed in different ways, in different forms. So we're all in this together to do the cure towards not living with that one disease. Now, I turned a heroic life and wellness coach. My story is heroic, so I fitfully am a heroic life and wellness coach. Everything you need to know about me is what it took to move through that experience. Anyway, so glad to be here and looking forward to share wisdom and learn as much as I can from all of you.
Well, thanks for being here, Dan. Appreciate you. Michael Leibowitz, followed
Yes.
by Mike O'Neill.
Okay, Michael and Mike. Hey, everybody. So I love language. In particular, how language can be used to make sure we understand each other in the ways that we understand each other. So I use my background in behavioral neurology to work with coaches, consultants, experts, landing them more business just by changing how they talk about their business. Like key changes to their language and the frames they use lands with people in different ways, and they start growing. What I want from LinkedIn, well, I've only just really started leveraging LinkedIn. I've been lurking for a bit, just learning and getting the feel for the culture of LinkedIn. And I started posting recently to very good effect, in fact. I think my first post landed like 38 comments and was seen by 100+ people. I'm on LinkedIn because my clients are there and I want to start having more conversations with them through that medium.
Awesome. Well, you're going to love what Monty has to say tonight.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, Mike O'Neill, followed by Jill Valdez.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm here as a coach who's just started calling himself a coach, and therefore I'm a sponge. I'm here to learn from each and every one of you and to build on what I've heard Monty describe in the past. He's a powerful resource. I'm looking forward to learning from each of you. So I'm not going to say much more than that.
Awesome.
it's
Well,
good to
thanks
see
for
you,
being
Mike.
here. Thanks for being here. Glad you two know each other. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. All right, Jill, followed by Charlie Tibbins.
Hi, my name is Jill Valdez, and I am the founder and everything of Link Consulting, which is really focused on business coaching. I'm an executive coach, and I work with companies, especially small businesses, to help their companies thrive. I believe that everybody's workplace experience should be amazing, and I love working with owners and managers, helping them learn how to implement the strategies for organizational health, which is going to increase employee engagement, all the all the great buzzwords right now, but I really focus on actionable things that they can do that are easy enough for them to do because they're already so overwhelmed with the work that they're doing in running a small business. If they knew how to implement organizational health, they would already be doing it. So that's my jam. Is I love helping them with that. And I love LinkedIn. Like I've been on LinkedIn for about 3 years, and I have a pretty good following. I love it. More than anything at this point, I use it simply to be able to get good words put out there for the people, to be encouraging and inspiring, to support other people, to support other connections on LinkedIn, and then of course to meet great people.
Which is how we met, which is amazing. And Charlie Timmons, followed by Neil Pretty.
Hello to everyone. And Suzanne, thanks again for sponsoring this. You have a great network. You're bringing them together so they can collaborate and share. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm Charlie Timmons. It says I'm a human archaeologist. What does that mean? Life is an inside-out process. What does that mean? That means that your potential to help people, to impact the world, starts on the inside. It doesn't start on the outside. It isn't you living at somebody else's life of what they think you should be. It's inside here. So I deal in one of life's little mysteries. I help professionals like you successfully navigate their professional transitions, whether it's to a new client, a new business partner, a new LinkedIn profile, whatever it might be. Because transitioning to better opportunities is challenging. Most people have aspirations and dreams. They fall short of that. I fix that type of a thing. So I believe in storytelling. I believe that your facts will tell, but your stories will sell. And most of the stories that we're telling ain't selling. So I fix that. I try to listen. I try to hear what people are saying that they're not saying to help them articulate those magic words that will attract the right people to them. So I operate out of Philly, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, thanks, Charlie. Looking forward to seeing you in person tomorrow.
3D.
Yeah, 3D. We're going to get a picture of that. Neil, followed by Machen.
Excellent. My name is Neil Pretty. I'm from Nelson, British Columbia, Canada. So it's a little small town up there, up here in Canada. And let's see, I'm the CEO of a company called Aristotle Performance, and we're the America's partner of the Fearless organization. So we specialize in developing psychological safety for organizations across the world. So we've got teams and organizations that we work with as far as Iraq and Afghanistan, South Africa, South America, Singapore, and all across the United States and Canada. So we do that work, and my journey to that started in career development, coaching, leadership development, coaching, and then eventually evolved and morphed into organizational development and culture development and all that wonderful fun stuff, and really had an epiphany at one point that psychological safety was this foundational element that most people were missing. And we've really specialized in that, particularly over the last 2.5 years of the pandemic. And that's what I do now. So all of my job is coaching, whether it's coaching my people, whether it's coaching facilitators, whether it's coaching people inside of organizations to otherwise get their shit together. That's my life ends up being coaching in one way, shape, or form as a leader.
And you have a totally awesome mustache. by the
Yeah.
way.
It's literally the only good thing about me.
That's not true. That's not true. But I will
I haven't even
say,
waxed it yet today, so thank you for the compliment.
but I will
Awesome.
say, it definitely helped me not only remember you, well, the fact that we, talked snowboarding, that helped too. But you could probably pull that off, Monty.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I can grow it that long enough, honestly.
It's a real commitment, I'll say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad.
Definitely commitment. Well, thanks for being here, Neil. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And
Neil and
my
I come
friend-
from two different traditions of cartoon evil.
I love it. All right, go ahead, Machen.
Yeah, welcome. Suzanne, this is awesome. Thanks for bringing this collective wisdom onto my screen. I love it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I've had the blessing of being called a coach for the last 20 years. And like Mike, I'm a sponge too. I'm really looking forward to learning from everybody and contributing where I might be able to. Um, in a nutshell, we all know what a coach is. The way that I say it is I get the privilege of helping small business owners and trusted advisors bring their A game to their hero's journey. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, thanks for being here, my friend. All right, and our special guest tonight, who I met on LinkedIn, and we started a conversation, really has been very instrumental for me and changed the way I post on LinkedIn, and really encouraged me from the sidelines that I could be more successful on LinkedIn. So welcome, Monty.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very awesome to be able to join you guys tonight and to get to be a part of your circle, if you would. I started Abound Social with my business partner a year ago. Prior to that, I had my company was called Relevant Marketing. And so I've been in marketing and sales for 30 some odd years. And I was focused predominantly more on the marketing aspect of it. And my business partner was focused more on the sales aspect of it. We both did, dabbled in one another's sandboxes, if you would, but then realized that putting them together actually takes full advantage of all that LinkedIn is. So we, LinkedIn's such an amazing channel, if you would, because it's the only channel that will combine marketing with sales and do it just hand in hand. So the most important thing that you can do on LinkedIn is establish your likability. As you establish your likability, then establish your trust, expertise, and authority. And then your trust, expertise, and authority delivered through the primary problem that you solve is going to be how you get clients. And the main takeaway that I would say for everybody tonight, if you get maybe one thing, is that the shorter the runway you give yourself, the more transactional you will become. And as you become transactional in how you engage the platform, you're actually removing your opportunity. So I would say that is absolutely my number one thing. If I could just say the one thing take away from me, that's it. Never take a transactional approach to LinkedIn. As tempting as it can possibly be, and it definitely will be, avoid the transaction aspect of it. Always think about LinkedIn as though it's a live networking event. So if the 11 of us, or however many we have tonight, all show up in a room together, how would you approach each other to establish that relationship and to then take that relationship into more of a conversation that creates an opportunity, right? So first, you have to establish rapport. And so in talking with Suzanne about what she'd like me to cover tonight with the group and hearing what all you guys are, what you're interested in and what your business is and what you're trying to accomplish, we decided that we're going to focus on building your network a little bit. And how do you actually find the people that you want to connect with? Who should you connect with? And then how do you go about doing that? So can I get share from you, Suzanne?
Sure thing. There you go.
Okay. Now, just give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen.
Looks good.
Okay. All right. So with my company, we've developed this LinkedIn Success Playbook. Okay. And the first thing that we say on here, put it in red as big as we can, there is no sales pitch in this playbook. So we affectionately call this pitch slapping. You've all probably experienced it. No matter how long you've been on LinkedIn, you'll connect with somebody, they'll immediately message you with some form of a pitch, right? So the more transactional you get, the less opportunity you're going to realize. Okay. And so you also have to realize that 95% of your target market on LinkedIn will not be ready to buy today. So they will not be ready to buy from you the minute you get connected. They may not be ready to buy from you a year after you've connected. Your entire job, if you would, from LinkedIn is to figure out where people are in their buyer journey, fit within that, and then breadcrumb them, if you would, into conversation that will lead to an opportunity. So here's how you go about doing that. First of all, you have to understand who you're trying to target. Who is the person that, when you look at them, what face do you see, right? Who is the primary person that is going to work with you? If you don't have a really solid handle on that, just think through your current clients and understand who they are and what were their problems and what are the problems that you're solving for them, and see if you can create a match for that person on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, once you find that person, it may be difficult to get in front of them. It may be difficult to even connect with them. If you're going after CEOs, leaders of corporations, or it may be even to find them because they don't have a specific title, right? So I love it. My ideal client looks like Scott at Dunder Mifflin. Yeah, I know. I love it. So Michael Scott. So first of all, you got to get noticed by the people that you want to connect with. Okay, now there's a number of ways in which you do that. Our process is, this is after you found them, you found their profile, whether LinkedIn has alerted them to you or you've been out on the platform and you've seen posts that they're putting out there, so on and so forth. You got to figure out a way to get in front of them before you're ever going to connect with them at all. Okay, so just blindly sending connection requests is not effective. You'll get very few connections doing that. You need to be able to have some form of relationship established, and it's just an introduction. Now again, let's go back to the live networking event. If I just go up and shake your hand, that's an introduction. That's the formation of a relationship, even though it's just very entry level, right? So I'm making myself known. You want to view their profile, you want to engage any content that they have, and you want to follow that page. So once you do that, LinkedIn is then going to alert that person that you have become aware of them, right? If you engage a piece of their content, meaning you put a like or you put a comment, then LinkedIn's going to send them the notification of that. If you've looked at their profile, LinkedIn's going to send them the notification of that. However you engage, you find as many ways as possible to engage through that first step. Then you want to wait. Be patient with it. Wait at least a day. See if they will connect and engage you. A lot of times they will. A lot of times they'll reply to your comment. A lot of times they will send you a connection request. I've had that happen many times, right? That the first time I put a comment on somebody's post, they're sending me a connection request. If they don't, the next day you're going to come back and you're going to view their profile again. You're going to engage their content again if they have any new posts or whatever. And then you want to send them a connection message. That connection with a message then needs to be personalized. It needs to be personalized to them. You want to have a reason to connect with them, and you want to create some form of commonality between the two of you. Okay, once you've done that, one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to invite, or they're going to accept that invitation, or they're going to sit on it. Doesn't mean they don't want to connect. It may mean that they're not necessarily on the platform right away. So you're going to wait a week if they don't, and then go back and repeat the process. Okay, now if they haven't connected with you after a month of doing that, then you can withdraw the invitation. They're not active on LinkedIn, or they just can't stand you and they're not going to connect with you. So let's assume that they've accepted the invitation. Then we're going to go down into phase 2 of what you can do with the connection, which is actually the most important part. And that is, how do you establish a relationship with somebody that can then convert into an opportunity for you or a client? Okay. So you want to begin a conversation with them, but first, again, go back and review their profile, pick out some things that you can actually have a conversation about. A lot of times I find it very successful to make these very basic comments that is not sales oriented in any way. You can't ever do that anyway. But it's just an acknowledgement that we're connected. So a lot of times I will just say, thank you for connecting. I look forward to getting to know you. And that's it. Okay, again, live networking, it's just leaving you with the opportunity to respond. Okay, now once I do that, if they don't respond after a couple of days, then I'm going to go back again. I'm going to look at their profile, see if they've got content. I'm going to try and engage them there, as opposed to engaging them in the direct message box. You have to look at the direct message window as as like text messaging. You're not really going to have real lengthy ongoing conversations in the text message window or in the direct message window. And you have to look at engagement on people's posts as a way to make them aware of you, as to draw awareness, because you're not going to have lengthy conversation engagement in posts either. So we're trying to establish some form of likability and a very entry level amount of trust that, hey, I'm actually here for a legit connection. I'm not going to immediately pitch slap you with anything. But once that conversation takes place, when you're qualifying a candidate, the only way you can do that is if you ask the right questions in the right way to understand where they're at in their buyer journey. And if they have the pain, and if they even recognize the pain that you're able to solve for them. Okay, so the buyer journey is different for, based on your target market and what you're doing, it may be the same, but people may go through it at different rates. You can't force anybody through their buyer journey. You can't force them through to make an immediate purchase or anything. Like if they don't understand that they have a pain, if a lot of you guys with being coaches, if they don't understand that they have got the problem that you can solve and you can see it just like right away in what they're doing and how they're talking, but they can't see it, no amount of forcing them to see it will do it. Okay, you have to, this is where this whole section here down is now where your content comes into play. Okay, so you're wanting to provide the breadcrumbs, if you would, at each stage of your buyer journey, so that as they're investigating you, I heard somebody, I can't remember which one of you, pretty sure it was Michael Leibowitz that was saying you were on LinkedIn just kind of lurking around, right? That's most people. Okay, that is 98% of LinkedIn users. They're there, they're kind of lurking around, they're investigating, they're learning, they may not be looking for a job, they may not be looking to build business, they may not know what they're there for, but just social engagement. They may not ever put a like on your post, they may not ever put a comment on your post, but they may look at it. I had a guy finally message me one day, and after connecting with me, that said, I followed your content for 2 years, which was amazing to me because he'd never engaged with it at all. No like, no comment. He said, I look at your post every day. And now he's contacting me after 2 years, interested in how I can help him with LinkedIn. That is, as coaches and stuff, that is a lot of the way of which you need to do that. Okay, the approach that you need to take with your business. Now, the second reason why LinkedIn is so powerful is because what you're really looking to do with it is to create an opportunity funnel, all right, more than it is to close deals, so to speak. So the more you fill that top of your funnel where people are aware of you, they start understanding the problem that you solve. They have to do that through the content and through the engagement that you have on the platform. So you can see how the two kind of work hand in hand, right? If you're out there and you're connecting and you're trying to have engagement with people and strike up conversations and you have no content out there and you're not talking about the problem that you solve and your profile is super basic and it's written more like your resume, it's going to be really hard to have those conversations. And it's going to be really hard to establish where people are at with their buyer journey and how you can fit within it and be able to nurture those conversations. If you add content to it, even if it's one post a week, honestly, and you're talking about the specific problems that you solve and for who and how you solve them. And by the way, don't ever be afraid to talk about how you solve those problems and give all of that information away. Because the fact of the matter is, when somebody has a problem, they never really want to solve it themselves. They always want somebody to come alongside it and either solve it for them or with them. So you can, the more content that you're putting out there that fits within the different stages of that buyer journey, the more trust, expertise, and authority you're developing. So at the point that they decide, you know what, I got to get this solved, Monty's the one that's going to do that for me. They're going to connect with you and they're going to have a conversation with you. Now, there's all kinds of different content types and things that you can do with LinkedIn, including the live events just like this, which I highly, highly recommend for all coaches. There's so much value to be able to doing live events like this. It can immediately generate your likability, trust, expertise, and authority, depending on how you do them. And depending on the content that you're producing in them as well, will depend on how much draw you have. So I'm sorry, Susan. And if you guys have questions, just jump in. I'm more than happy to answer anything. Do you recommend unfollowing the ones that you're not engaging with? No, not necessarily. If you're connecting with the right people, again, think about my guy that was there for 2 years watching my content and then all of a sudden one day decided he was going to have a conversation with me. He realized he got to that point 2 years later that, hey, I've got the problem. I think he can solve it. So I'm going to reach out to him. So I wouldn't necessarily shut anybody down if you do think that they're part of your target, right? Now, you'll have a lot of people that are going to connect with you and it's very obvious. You'll never do business with them at all. You can get rid of them. That's not a problem at all, right? There's been a lot of people that I've connected with over time who I thought they were somebody that I might be able to do business with, only to find out that they were either it was a fake account or they were somebody who was actually wanting to sell me my own services. And those people you can get rid of. So from Zoom calls to webinars, if you have one-pagers, different things that you can touch on within your buyer journey platform, that when you're having conversation with somebody that you can send someone, add value, always work towards adding more value. Because the more value you can add to somebody, the more debt you're placing on them so that they have to have a conversation with you. It's really just how it works. You know, if I can put you in debt to me because I'm offering you so much value and all I'm doing is just asking you for a simple conversation, you're going to be more likely to talk to somebody who's giving you value as opposed to somebody that just connects and says, hey, you want to do a Zoom call to get to know each other? Because by the way,
I actually have a question in regards to that when you're done.
Go ahead, jump in.
So I think I get stuck on, I know I have something that would help somebody, whether it's somebody I'm really close to or a stranger. And do I ask to send that to them, or do I say, oh, I found, I thought of this on my computer and it made me think of you. Would that be helpful? Or do you just send it?
So the scenario would be that you've connected with somebody, you're in conversation with them, and you realize that they could use something that you have of
Yeah,
value.
I'll give you a perfect example. I'm connected with somebody who is a trainer in corporations. He's amazing. We've had numerous Zooms about a corporate training.
Mhm.
There's a possibility I could do it for his company. There's lots of opportunities there. And he mentioned on one of our conversations that he was getting back in shape and struggling with food a little bit. And I used to be a health coach, and I'm a nutritionist and have all these amazing resources. So because he mentioned it, I just emailed him afterwards. I said, here's a couple recipes, here's a couple things that were helpful when I used to see clients who are doing what you're doing. And he was so grateful.
Mhm.
And well, how do I get to have that happen more often? I guess it really, you have to have conversations with people, is what you're saying.
Well, you had conversations, but during the conversation, you were aware of this formula and you were listening, right? So you probably didn't even ask him, hey, do you struggle with weight?
No,
Of course not.
no, but
you
it's not something I do anymore, but I have tons of resources for
right.
it.
It's something that he's disclosed to you that's a problem. And here's the big key to that, right? The minute you can solve somebody's problem, no matter how minor or major it is, they will trust you to solve any other problem in their life. Okay, so if you listen to that and he said, yep, this is a problem that I have, and you said, I noticed that you mentioned this, and I have a resource for you that I think would benefit you. Here it is. Right? Do you think that he would be more interested in the next conversation about the additional resources that you may have with the other problems that he has?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I would then follow back up with that conversation and see how it is working with him.
Yeah.
And see then, because of what you're talking about with bringing you in as a coach and stuff like that, point out, one of the greatest things that we can do for each other's people is to listen to one another's problems and then be able to get in the middle of that and solve those problems. And we can do that, right, with your team, so on and so forth. Now you have a total open book to be able to talk about some ongoing ways that you can help him.
Yeah.
Great question.
Monty, I wanted to add something if I must.
Please.
When Suzanne, you're listening to this client say, or this contact, they're aware of their existing pain in this sort of flow chart. It seems it could be awesome to just ask the question, would you be interested in removing that pain? It seems like a logical permission to see if they're for them to be in the buying seat rather than me sending it and maybe being me pushing my resources. So I think that's what just triggered me. It's like, wow, are you interested in removing that pain? If so, I have some resources.
Yeah, now I agree with that. And in the same hand, if they've mentioned a pain to you, to me, that's an opportunity to do what you did and go ahead and solve it. Right? And then investigate further pains. Because that is the first goal in my mind with anything. If you can solve something, you have an in. So always look for the things that you can solve and then solve it. So great feedback too.
Yeah, there was
Dan.
one last point was
Mhm.
when they're explaining their superficial conscious pain, there's also pain beneath the pain. So if they're overweight, that's their pain, but then the pain is they can't go play with their grandchildren. So that's the pain as well that you're trying to solve, is that not only you're going to lose weight, but you're going to be able to play with your grandchildren freely, stuff like that. So that's something I'm trying to learn more about, is listening to the pain beneath the pain.
Mhm.
How does that interfere with you living your
Yeah.
life? And that's the pain that they're really experiencing on the unconscious level.
If I could, building on what Dan just said, sometimes they don't know what they need. And during this conversation that you're having with them, they need to taste the benefits of what you can do for them. So we have to give them something so they can experience us to say, hey, I like what this guy's talking about. This, because what Dan just said is that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more in there that we can help them with that they're not even aware of yet. That's part of our brilliance, is to figure that out. But unless we share something with them, give them a little taste, a little sample, they're not going to have the Suzanne experience that's so important to making a decision. Thank you so much.
Yeah, now let me throw one more out there too. You know, somebody talks about a specific pain or whatever that they have, jot it down. Great post for tomorrow, right?
Mm.
Because now I can go out there and I can post about that, and I can speak to somebody else's experience, but guaranteed that person may see that and then go, oh, I need to reach back out to her.
Go ahead, Maish.
Monty, with what you just stated, that little tactic, you wouldn't mention that person's name.
Never.
You wouldn't tag them, right?
Never, no.
Okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't missing something.
No. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments about that journey?
Yes, they could probably keep coming all night. I mean, Charlie just opened up another can of worms. It's like sometimes you have to stop the bleeding. You know, you have to stop the bleeding before they can actually get to that transformative place. So if they're under this immediate pain that's been with them for probably decades, they can't even see anything beneath that until that's removed. And then they slip into, wow, I don't have that. I feel a weight lifted. So now I'm ready to go on the actual journey of healing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very impactful what you share, Monty, in terms of opening up to listening to the individual and befriending that person with their common human trait, with that understanding that I see that you could have a perfect transformative process here, but I also need to be empathetic to the human pain that they're under so that they gain that trust initially. So you're not pushing the transformative process when they're still, you know, they just broke their leg and you're sitting here. What happened when you were a child? You know, you have any emotional issues you got to deal with? Or do we have to work with the broken bone and the broken pain and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
a lot of people are coming with this urgency of this weight of all this decades building up, and they really know they want to be on a journey and a process, but that initial pain has to be removed.
Mhm.
Well, I think health coaches, you know, like you, Dan, are a little bit different animal. You know, solving health issues is so much more personal than solving someone's business or team or company culture or hiring process or LinkedIn profile or even branding and personal things. Health seems to feel to me so much more personal. Like I really need to know someone before I can offer some of my health resources for them.
There's a definite deeper intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
which our society is becoming more and more desensitive to intimacy. So when you start to get intimate with them, it triggers a whole nother guarded they get much more guarded. But I live it, so, you know, I don't come at it from a place of school book. I come from a place of how I lived, and my story is impactful for them. So it offers me some means to connect with them as a learning tool.
Let me share with you guys. Mike, I didn't see your hand raised. You want
Oh,
to
yeah.
ask a question?
Go ahead,
I
Mike.
feel like I'm in school again. I realized when I said I'm here as a sponge, that could have been negatively accepted. Isn't a sponge someone who just sucks the life out of someone else? But I am sucking a lot of good information. Can I just admit something I'm a little embarrassed to? I just realized that way back when I set up my profile, when I was checking people out, I went into private mode on my profile. And I just realized I never changed it. And so talking about engagement, if I'm trying to engage, they don't even know who's trying to engage them if we're not connected. So you've already helped me in that, and it's already changed.
Well, fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. You're out
Definitely
of
make
creeper
sure-
mode, Mike. Good job.
Definitely make sure you're not in
job.
private. Yep. Let me
Out
tell
of
you.
creeper mode. Suzanne. Way to hit him with the frame.
One more tip for you guys in terms of connecting. Some of you, in terms of coaching, it can be really hard to identify, your target, because LinkedIn's limited. I mean, it's not like they present a number of problems that people identify with that you can then go find those people, right? But in a way they do, because if you pick specific hashtags, and if you go search those hashtags, you'll find people that are posting in those hashtags about those problems. And a lot of people are pretty open about their problems, right? So if you go and identify different people within the hashtags around the problem that you solve and start engaging them there, it typically takes sometimes no more than one comment on a post that they will accept your connection request. But even if you engage multiple times, you can ask them specific questions that sometimes they will answer in the comment field, right? That will identify whether or not they are a potential lead, even that somebody that you can solve a problem with. So from a coaching standpoint, sometimes it's far more effective to just find people where they are on LinkedIn using the hashtags and what they're posting about than it is going out and trying to just connect with a ton of people and going, well, maybe one out of 100 of these people might have the problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. That's something I have not done. Has anybody else connected on that level or interacted with posts based on hashtags? Jill
Oh,
says
good.
yes. Neil
Yeah.
says yes.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Now I have one more question. I feel as though it's hard to keep track of all the conversations and all the people. So this room right now, I would consider this half of my inner circle, right? This is people that if I see their stuff, I always comment, I share, I collaborate. But how do you keep track of the thousands and thousands of people?
You don't.
You don't.
No.
Okay.
What you want to do is, number one, if you're not using a CRM, right? And if you're not using Sales Navigator, because a lot of times, if you're not trying to connect with a whole ton of people, then it's not as important. Create a spreadsheet. Okay, because if there's one thing that I hate more than anything about LinkedIn, it's their messaging window. And it's so easy to lose conversations, right? So start a spreadsheet and list your connections on the spreadsheet. Then have a tab that you are in active conversation with. And the best way to do that is to put the LinkedIn profile on the spreadsheet. right? So you can just immediately click it and go right back and hit the message
Mm.
and pull up that message instead of having to go search through or just do the find, because a lot of times even the find doesn't work. You get one letter wrong and they don't bring you up. So creating a spreadsheet where you just are keeping track of those you're in conversation with and those that you want to connect with. It's work, but it pays off. And I always tell people, make sure you have a highly qualified and highly focused network that you're working with. And I also tell clients that are solopreneurs, coaches, stuff like that. If I drop 10 clients in your lap today, you probably wouldn't be able to take care of them. Right? So you want to understand how fast you want to grow, what that means for you, and then understand that LinkedIn is a compounding effect day after day, week after week, month after month that you're engaged on it. So all of your activity compounds on top of each other. So if you're talking to 5 people, so you're going to talk with 5 new people next week and 5 new people the next week. At the end of the month, you're talking with 20 people, right? So take that approach with it, and then it's not such a big elephant.
Lost me with its hard work.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is there a button on LinkedIn I can just push and it all happens?
If you work with us, I guess, maybe.
Wink. That's great.
That's good.
So
Any other comments, questions, insights?
I have a question. What are the advantages of using Sales Navigator?
if Sales Navigator will give you a much deeper dive into who you can search.
Mhm.
So it gives you more search parameters. And it will give you the ability to create lead lists. So you can create different buckets to where you can put people in. So you can say, these are the people, you can put people in a bucket that you're wanting to connect with, then create another bucket that those you have connected with, one that you are in conversation with, some that are showing that they want something from you, so you can kind of create a pseudo CRM, if you would, off of that. But it's $100 a month, so you have to kind of weigh out whether or not it's worth it for that.
All right, so because I just started using it, so
Mhm.
I haven't gotten very adept with it yet. So, but I'm happy to know that you can create the buckets. Thank you.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
called on Sales Navigator, they call them lead lists.
Yeah.
So just create a number of lead lists, name them whatever you want, and then you can use them that way. You can also put notes. You can apply a note to anybody that you put in a lead list, so it's helpful.
All right, thanks.
Got a
And
question?
Michael. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Michael.
Sure. Speaking of Navigator, I get that thing is like, hey, all these people have searched for you or searched your profile over the past X number of time period. Is there anything useful about that? Like, is there a way
You
to
mean-
leverage that or just
You
leave it
mean when they're
alone?
building your own lead list for you?
What was that?
Are you talking about when they build a lead list for you?
No, when I get the notifications, hey, these people have searched your profile in the last 30 days.
Okay. It just depends on what you feel like they're searching your profile for. So, I mean, there's still going to be a lot of digging in there. And what I've found is there's it's typically by title, that they're hitting your profile.
Gotcha.
Or they're bouncing in from a post or from a comment that somebody else sees, and it just may be a quick, who's this, so it's up to you. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like people who are putting likes on your posts.
Okay.
It's worth opening that up and seeing who is liking your post, to see if there's anything that you can mine, if you would, from it. But it doesn't mean that everybody that likes it would necessarily be a fit.
And Machen, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Monday, when you were talking about the buyer's journey and certain questions that you can ask to kind of elicit some interest, I don't know if maybe you have some examples of that or what, but how do you walk that fine line of knowing that the person, because it's happened to me where people are asking these probing questions and it's like, I can tell I'm just being set up. Do you have questions that don't smack of being set up?
Again, if we go back to the live networking concept, right? If you shake my hand and what's the first question? What do you do? Or what's the problem that you solve? Nobody asks that. I just, it's always, what do you do? I tend to make more statement things than ask questions and see if they respond to those statements, such as, most people find messaging on LinkedIn is lousy, and I'm somewhat one of them. Is there a better platform that works for you, like email? Right. So if I make a statement and then I'm asking a question, a lot of times they'll give me the answer because I'm not probing, so to speak, just specifically to see if I can get you to answer. Or it really depends on, I'd probably have to work through your strategy a little bit more closely in terms of specifically the problem that you're solving and what you're trying to do. We could probably come up with a lot of those and, in a lot of ways. But I would also say the reason why we like events so much is it's something of value that people can do or go to and be a part of without it being any kind of a pitch related thing, and even if they don't show up to it, you still have opportunity to start a conversation, right? So the more conversational you can be without, and I think you just have to give a feel for the timing of when you can ask specific things. But our process, what we try to do is I want to get this conversation off of LinkedIn just as fast as I possibly can. But I can't do it immediately, right? I can't go, hey, thanks for connecting. How about we grab a cup of coffee? Or how about, spare me 15 minutes on a Zoom call to get to know each other? That's just seen as a pitch slap these days, because the only reason you're wanting to, what so many people have done is they've set it up that way as though, oh, I have interest in a business relationship and actually hearing about you and having a conversation. And there's not going to be an expectation after that. Or at the end of it, it's get on, hey, let me hear what you do, but I don't really want to do that. I just want to tell you what I do. And are you a prospect for me? So people and a lot of companies have treated it like it's just a lead list, right? And that's why I tell everybody and make very sure that they know 95% of the people that you're going to talk to on LinkedIn are not ready to buy today. And if they get a hint of transaction from you, it's over.
Yeah.
So and I'll tell you, there's two people, three maybe, that have a very, very difficult time initiating conversations on LinkedIn. These people, anybody that's trying to do business development on LinkedIn, like my company, coaches, because there's so many people that are coaches on LinkedIn now, right? And there is a vast broad range of levels of coaches. Yet everybody claims to be an expert on coaching and everything else like that. So you never know what you're getting when you connect with a coach. And coaches typically tend to not be very good at marketing or sales. So you guys typically tend to be very transactional on the platform, and then it becomes very hard to have conversations, right? So removing that, you know, the most hated are like the Bitcoin people or the people wanting to get you into a franchise, to buy a franchise. But but if I could make a recommendation for you guys' profile, and I know we're at time, but maybe take off the word coach. Okay, because people want to connect with people, and if you look at my profile, I don't say anything about LinkedIn lead generation or business development. You know, in my header, it's my logo and my website, and I'm looking to establish relationships that can lead to opportunities. I'm not looking for opportunities first and then relationship after that. So coaches, if you are having a hard time getting connected with people and people not accepting it, consider taking the coaching term off of your title, and that might help you improve it, actually.
Monty, then what are the words you're using in your LinkedIn to, and this goes to Michael's point about magnetic words. Are you using, what are they searching on to find you?
I have, I can show you my profile super quickly.
Because
Sure.
you're going to want to follow him and connect with his content for sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. I say director of sales and marketing, because that's what I am at the company. And then I have something that's just catchy. This guy gets on LinkedIn and says, because I'm a content creator. So I create a ton of content out there, even though I haven't for the past two weeks. But I want something interesting that's going to make people look at this and go, might be worth connecting with. And then I've got my company name with my web address here, and I have my call to action right here. So if you really only have 15 seconds or less to make an impression with somebody, and hardly anybody before they're connected with you will take any investment past this first section. So that, I always tell people, make that first section interesting enough that it will improve your connection rate. I don't have to give away every problem that I solve. I don't have to this doesn't have to be a billboard, right? It doesn't have to be about every problem that I solve, because as coaches, you don't necessarily know the people that have the problem that you can solve. But if I can't even get you past a connection to where I can have a conversation, we're dead in the water, right? I've lost that opportunity. So you don't want this to be like overly salesy, in a sense that it just kind of blare foghorn at you that the second you connect with me, I'm going to pitch you because this is what I've got to sell you, right? I just want to have a nice cover. I want to have a nice cover to the book, and I want to give you some reason and some interest to maybe open it a little further. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, Monty.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any final words or anything anybody wants to touch on before we wrap it up tonight?
My LinkedIn could use some help.
Okay.
You were really right on about the coaches have the intimacy of wanting to connect, but they don't have the marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much of a hard thing for me to be, hey, let's connect, or, listening, but the sales and marketing part of the profiling, I think Michael would be very helpful. Livowitz, you'd be helpful in the wording and the messaging. But Thank you very much, Monty, and
My
thank you,
pleasure.
everybody else, for your light and your love and support. I've got to leave right now, but I hope to connect again in the next coaching conversation. And thank you again, Suzanne.
Yeah, thanks for being here.